Hello, hello. Welcome to the next interview in the 2025 Marketing and Sales Success interview series. If you are reimagining how you can share your message this year, if you are reimagining how you want to show up this year, if you are reimagining how you express yourself and your offers and your messages and your vision this year, you are in the right place. I'm so excited to be hosting this mini interview series to support you with your sales and marketing success for 2025 because let's face it, things have changed tremendously over the last several years and it's created a big shift in 2024 which is leading the way for a new approach for 2025. And I have connected with my dearest, trusted, amazing experts and friends in my community who are here to share with you the real goods on how to be of highest service with sharing your message so you can make that impact that you know that you're here to make. So I want to thank you for being here. If you're new to my world, welcome. My name is Jennifer Lyle. I'm an intuitive business mentor and I help ambitious entrepreneurs with getting really clear on what exactly it is that they want to share with the world and dropping that overwhelm, dropping the confusion so that they can actually make that massive impact with ease. And today's guest, okay, I've got to tell you who Danielle is for me. Danielle is a word wizard. She understands deeply the energy and the psychology of words. She has been behind the scenes on many, many large launches, $1 million launches for some of the biggest names in the industry. She's like the secret sauce that makes things work. And she has created different formulas to help other people who aren't having $1 million launches yet to understand how we can up level our expression of our ideas and to have more confidence with our launches, to create more ease and flow with our launches. And she's an absolute genius at what she does. She's helped me in the past. I'm so grateful to have her in my world, and I feel so honored to be having this conversation with her today. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, how about you share a little bit more from your perspective of what you would like to highlight about who you are and your magic? Because, yeah, I've gushed over you, but maybe you can tell some of the
I
other goods
mean,
about your expertise and why people need to know you and understand the wisdom that you're bringing forth today.
I think you pretty much summed it up. I've been in the industry for 18 years now, so I've been doing this a long time. Started out as a copywriter and then really still focused on the words, but moving into um, strategy, launches, coaching. And I think I did a rough calculation and I have written words and helped clients make something like over $200 million in sales over the course of my career. So, selling things with words, writing words that sell is my jam. And that is the thing that I love to help people most with. And that's what we're here to talk about.
Hmm. So, 2024, I noticed shifts. You've noticed shifts. Tell me what you were witnessing. There's lots of things that went on personally and professionally. So for me personally, I had a good year. It wasn't my best year. My best year was 2023. So it's just like, huh, isn't that interesting? And so a lot of reflection around that. And you've noticed some things too in 2024. And
Well, 2024, as you mentioned, like personally, and I have not. So we've noticed some things happening outside in the world. There's a lot going on in the world. I think the biggest thing in terms of trends is that the things that were working are not working anymore. In terms of tactics and strategies, we have the AI monster that is just making us doubt everything that we know about what is real, like it just depleting the trust that we have. And so there's this factor to think about is like, how do we build trust again, and deepen trust. And so that is all happening. And then on a personal level, 2023 was a great year for me, until October 7th, because I don't put this out publicly. I don't talk about it a lot, and we'll talk about the question why, but I live in Israel. I've lived here for the past 16 years, and 2024, I spent the entire year living in a war zone. So um, it got a lot more complicated. I have 4 kids. Um, we had to learn what to do if there was a siren, and we spent most of our time still going on with our normal routine, like literally for over a year. And that is kind of just the tip of the iceberg. Um, I Then there's the repercussions of how it affected my business, right? I started lying to Uber drivers in the States about where I was from, stopped showing up for Zoom networking calls. And that was a lot happening. And it felt like there was a separation between what was on stage in my business and what was backstage. And the reason that I bring this all up is not to sort of, dredge up the trauma, but just to say that I think a lot of people are feeling that division between whatever they have going on in their life, what is happening backstage, and what they feel like needs to be on stage.
Mm, mhm. And there's this worry of if I reveal too much that I'm gonna push people away. But
Mhm.
in truth, it's going to attract even better aligned clients.
Right. And this is where we get into, like, how do we figure this out? Because if you're the face of your brand, there's a lot of pressure to put yourself out there, be visible, be authentic, because people are investing in you, right? In a lot of ways, you're the product, your expertise, the way that you approach things, your unique frameworks and methods. And people buy from people that they trust. And part of building that trust is getting to know you as a person. But where is the line between how much of my life makes it into my marketing and how much doesn't? And that's something that I really grappled with this year. I'm still grappling with, and really figuring out how to integrate as much as possible the parts that need to come on stage.
Hmm. I'm even witnessing this a lot in one particular Facebook group that I'm in with their um, points of view. And like, they're like, you know what? I want to make sure that I'm only connecting in with people who align with my points of view. And very, um, they're very focused on only aligning with people who share their beliefs. And I know
Hmm.
I've held back a lot on some of the things that I believe in. I do bring some glimpses, but there's a lot that I just don't want to get entangled in. And so, from an energetic perspective, there is that dance of wanting to be visible, wanting to own your truth, but also not needing somebody else's approval, but
Hmm.
also not needing the potential judgment that can get thrown at you
Right.
for you being that stand and what you believe in.
Right. And it's definitely been a balance. And I don't know that there's one right answer. I know you came like, we're here to talk about launches.
No,
I
but
don't have, because it's all still pretty messy for me. What I do have is some things that have helped me through this past year in terms of figuring out how to life and business when things get messy.
I do want to just address that this is an important part of launching of
Yes.
anything because it might be what's holding you back
Hmm.
because you feel inauthentic about launching at a time when your country is in a war zone, or you feel inauthentic about talking about something that in some ways might seem meaningless compared to wars that are going on all over the world. And so it does cause a lot of inner turmoil. So I think that this is such an important conversation to be having right now
Hmm.
so that people have the courage.
And I think that's the answer, right? Because sometimes the fears that we have about saying the thing, speaking the truth, saying this is who I am and this is what I believe, they're just fears. They're unfounded. There was the very real a rocket might hit my house and I might die today. And then there's the fear of like somebody might not like me on Instagram, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And like there is a difference between those things. And having that contrast, I think, has in some ways made the stakes lower for like, all right, here we are. We're just going to talk about this. And to the level in which I'm comfortable. And sometimes the thing that you are afraid to talk about is the exact thing that people need to hear.
I'd like you to say that again.
Sometimes, usually, the thing you are afraid to talk about is the exact thing that people need to hear.
And I think that especially if you get this nudge that, oh, I should do a post about this, and then there's the fear, I think that that's a really important sign that maybe there is something there that you could listen to courageously. Yeah.
And that comes back to my framework, my method. We talk about launch flow, like
Hmm.
one word, but there's two elements to it. There's the launch piece, there's the pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, there's the momentum that you get from doing something that is focused and maybe a little scary. But then there's the flow piece. There's doing it in a way that feels good, that makes sense for you, that is your way and nobody else's. And when you have those two things together in the right balance, that is when the magic happens.
And I like magic. And I think a lot of people that are listening like magic too.
We
Mm.
love it.
What are some of the things that people can consider doing to overcome this challenge for knowing how to strike that balance, for knowing how to blend it? I'm going to let you talk and then I'll do my little 2 cents of what I feel and notice too.
I mean, I'll just share like a couple things that have gotten me through the past year that has been pretty tough, in the spirit of the things that, I've been afraid to say are the things that people need to hear. Maybe they are. You'll let me know. The first thing has been, and I'm seeing this as a trend as well, is close and deepen your inner circle.
Mm.
And the thing that really got me through it was having people, friends like you, a core group of people who I already trusted, partners, business partners, colleagues who I could go to, who I knew already supported my business. And going deeper on those relationships, leaning more on referrals, leaning on those things, um, temporarily allowed me to sort of feel safe in a moment where I very much didn't.
Mm.
And I think that speaks to also the value of relationships that is becoming more and more important. If, 5 years ago, you could put things out and the algorithm would just, run with it and a million new people would see it. If Facebook ads were cheaper, like it is harder to reach new audiences than it's been. And also, we talked about the trust deficit. And so, really starting with relationships and partnerships allows you to borrow that trust from other people's audiences. So, in navigating, okay, I want to do a launch, make sure that you have your partners, your people who support you, people who can talk you down when you're stressed out, and panicking about it, you have your support system.
So that trust factor for your inner circle. Yeah.
Huge. Leaning on your support. It's okay to not be okay sometimes. It's okay to ask for help and receive it,
Mm.
right? And it's okay to also sometimes accept your limits, right? Not every year has to be the year that your business doubles and triples and, grows exponentially, and right? It's okay sometimes to just get through it.
What comes up for me in the conversation around trust is also around self trust.
Mhm.
With the world being a little more crowded, to be able to trust that inner knowing, trust
Mhm.
your intuition a bit more, and lean into that when there's so much uncertainty out there. How can you create your own self certainty?
Well, because
And
that's the only thing when so much is out of your control and you suddenly realize that, it always has been and you just realize it now. The thing that you can control is your reaction to the situation.
yes, and something as simple as you know, I'm very passionate about checking your inner battery, managing your energy as you're about to take any actions for your sales and marketing, for your leadership. Like that's just such a big part of it too, because it impacts how you connect in with people. It impacts
Mhm.
the words that you're able to align with to express your ideas.
And I will just say that process changed things for me in terms of, um, how I manage my energy this year and,
Mm.
how things sort of hit. So thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for sharing that because that that that's everything. Giving people their power back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you want to talk about the flip side? Because we talked about, right, like how um, life impacts your marketing.
Yes. So how can we bring that then into how do we use that and how your marketing then impacts your life?
It's interesting because when people have like, you hear marketing, sometimes people, especially, the heart-centered intuitive people will have like this, "Ooh, okay, I have to put myself out there and market and be salesy." And I think even sometimes the language that we are used to seeing around sales and marketing feels very, um, pushy and aggressive in many cases, and people will have a visceral response to that. And we have a lot of baggage, I think, around what we think marketing is. And marketing really is just changing someone's beliefs. That at its core is what it is about. It's changing someone's beliefs to the point where they now believe something else is possible. They believe that they can change, something can change, they can have the thing that they want and that it's possible and that you are the way to get it.
And so what comes up for me, and for anybody who's watching, if you can say hello in the comments, and if there's anything that's percolating for you with this, I'd love to hear it. And even in response to Danielle's statement just now around marketing is about changing your beliefs. I've always said that, I've come to realize that I believe, and this aligns with what you're saying right now. I believe that as a heart centered entrepreneur, that a shift happened when I realized that marketing is like sharing my truth. And I guess it's about having this unshakable um, depth of knowingness about what I truly believe is possible, and then holding that possibility for others that they can see themselves in that possibility too. And then
Mhm.
the sales piece, because I know that that can make people feel really uncomfortable, is simply you fulfilling your purpose, you taking people through the journey and having the invitation to the whole experience and saying, "Are you in?" Holding
Definitely.
space. It's one of the most beautiful things we can do.
And on the one hand, it is about that radical honesty. It's saying the thing that you know is true, that you know they need to hear so that they can see things differently. And on the specific side, there are actually language patterns and techniques and structures and frameworks to do that more effectively. And that's kind of the
Mm.
science based, and the thing that I spend most of my time talking about and helping people with is the structure of the words. Because if you think about it, you spend a great deal of time marketing also not in your business. And what do I mean by that? I have 4 kids. Sometimes they don't want to do the things that I tell them to do. Sometimes they don't
Mhm.
want to take a shower. Sometimes, they right and how instinctively sometimes do we employ techniques that in business we would call marketing or persuasion or sales to sell something. Like I just sold my kid on the fact that taking a shower is the best idea
Yes.
ever. And it is going to be the most fun thing that they'll ever do. And
Wow.
I've thrown in a bonus, I've thrown in an incentive, I've thrown in the rubber ducky, and I've
Woo!
thrown in, right? Like all of these things that in business we recognize, oh, that's marketing. We're actually using them all the time.
Mm. Mhm. Interesting. I never really thought about it like that, but you're right. Absolutely true. So, in some ways, it's something that we do naturally.
In some ways, it's something we do naturally. And sometimes when you know and you're a marketer, you can actually take some of that skill set with you into other places in life, whether it's your um, parenting, whether it's your friendships, whether it's just the interaction that you have with the airline counter that has delayed your flight, right? Like
Mhm.
all of
Yes.
these, um, when you're aware of what you're doing, you're like, oh, yeah, uh-huh, I'm doing that intentionally. And I actually just, got myself on that next flight.
So, still in this line of conversation around life influencing marketing and marketing influencing life, um, how about the whole conversation? Like, there's authenticity, the trust building, and there's the idea of how much we share, and like even the trend that's on Instagram for, you're just showing yourself doing everyday things. And then that's the background of where the marketing messaging is going to go. How mainstream is that? And then how is that being used to create that trust and deep connection? Is it just sharing, like, look, I'm just like you. Look, I have the same crystal that you have, or look, we have the same IKEA backdrop. We're friends. Yeah. Um,
I mean, there's something to that principle of influence of, okay, we have these things in common, and that creates a bond, that creates a relationship. In terms of how much do you put your life on social media, um, I've got hard boundaries. Like my kids' faces are not there.
mhm.
Sometimes I'll show the feet, so right? Like, and that's a me thing. Other people are comfortable with it. That's great. And so I guess the guiding line is we have to think about what the ultimate goal. If the ultimate goal is to call in the people that are right to work with us, that we can help, to create a relationship with them, and also build that narrative so that we change beliefs, then how you do that, whether it's through video, whether it's through writing, whether it's is based on what you're comfortable with and what your skill set is.
And
So
I
it might include video, it might include audio, it might include long form, blog posts, it might include a
Yes.
book, right? The how is really up to you.
And I guess that comes back to flow and your
Definitely.
energy and what brings joy.
Because if you are not happy, like do reels and editing reels and putting them on social media and whatever, the energy of that is going to come through,
Yes,
and people will feel that
absolutely.
on the other side.
Absolutely. It's really fascinating because I have witnessed so often that energy and that shift of people holding back. And there's this pull of this big vision that they want to bring forth. They know that they want to launch something, a book, a podcast, whatever kind of message way vehicle that they want to use for serving and getting their message out there. And there's that pull that's in your heart of your purpose. And yet there's just this tension that keeps people. Oof. And there's this release that needs to happen to let go of those energetic blocks in order to create that space for flow too. And that's something you also talk about in launch flow too, right?
Definitely. I mean, to the extent that I was inspired quite a bit by your Ready to Be Seen program, which I've done twice. Um, and it is letting go, but sometimes, and I've had this done for me, and I do this with my students, it's belief change, but for yourself.
Mm,
So a specific process of actually writing out what things do I currently believe about myself and my launch, and how can I change them or reframe them, or have someone reframe them for me in a way that I believe that this is possible and this is, going to be the thing that gets me what I want.
mm. It's like opening up the capacity to receive, to be able to remove those beliefs that aren't
Definitely.
getting in the way. I'm sorry. I have a cat that is hacking up a fur ball right here, right next to me. I apologize. She's releasing. She is
Okay.
releasing right now. Big release
And
happening.
speaking about life and marketing and how one affects the other, like that's happening and that's fine.
Yes.
You should
Yeah.
maybe change her beliefs about coughing up the furball in your office.
I agree. I agree. But I think she's here because she's like, Mom, I need help. So I
Oh,
will be going to help her in a moment. But let's come back to helping you, our viewers. You, Danielle, beautiful Danielle, you have a wonderful resource to help people as they are shifting through this and wanting to launch more confidently and figuring out this flow and balance. Tell me more.
yes. I have my launch flow roadmap. It has the 5 ingredients, the 5 flows, I call them, that you should be sort of thinking through as you're planning your launch. One of them is energy. So, spoiler alert, one of them is energy flow and thinking, and that's a really important piece there. Some of them are a little bit more tactical, and it will help you sort of think through high level strategy, but from a frame of what is going to work for you.
Mm, so good. And the link is just below.
Yes, go get it.
Yes, go get it. It's free, and Danielle's just amazing. So much wisdom to share. Um, and I also have an amazing workshop coming up at the end of the month around simplifying your sales and visibility so you can boost your revenue. And again, it's going to come back to the energetic piece of it, looking at what are some of those things that need to be dismantled that will help with simplifying your how you're showing up in your business and how you get your message out there, because that is what I find is the resistance that holds people back. And I even remember from your first time through Ready to Be Seen, and you had shared that even though you weren't able to participate the way you had wanted to, you had noticed a big shift. Kids were all homesick.
Yeah, I think this was like 2 years ago now, something like that.
More than that, I
And
think it was like
right,
2021
I remember it was January
during COVID
and
2021.
everybody was sick. And I was and somehow, because you can do the conscious belief shifts, but there's all the stuff that you are dealing with, which is what's happening under the surface, which is really, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the um the big things that you may not necessarily be aware of. And that was certainly the case for me. And I was like, I don't know how this is happening, but it's happening. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And so even though you had less time because you were had all four kids homesick, you still had a really high revenue month,
I did. It was a great
which
month in
that was
January, which, yeah.
so, and that's what we'll be talking about, what some of these, how you can figure out what some of these roadblocks are and how to dismantle them. And it's pretty potent and powerful. And the shifts that people have had just after the workshop as well have been really amazing. So you can sign up for that below if that resonates and is of service to you. And I just want to really thank everyone who's watching for showing up for you and for your business and for listening to that nudge that's inside of you that knows that you have to get that message out there and reach the people that you're here to serve. And you know that you want to make a bigger impact and you know that you need to shift. I really appreciate you being open to this conversation. If anything's resonated with you specifically, please share it in the comments. And that just helps with getting this out there in a bigger way and helping others with hearing this conversation too to help them with their business. So here's to you. Here's to your success in 2025. Take advantage of the Launch Flow roadmap and join us also for the Simplify Your Sales and Visibility workshop at the end of the month. So thank you so much for joining us, Danielle. I appreciate
Thank you
you.
for having me.
And I hope everyone has a magical rest of your day and an amazing 2025. Bye for now.